history the Undertaker has at Survivor Series, making his inaugural WWE appearance back in 1990 as part of the $1 Million Team that was captained by Ted DiBiase, really managed by Ted DiBiase when Brother Love introduced the WWE fans to a phenom like The Undertaker. I think that would be great if we saw The Undertaker and Kane face the Wyatt family at Survivor Series. That will bring us a few months away from WrestleMania 30, and that will give us enough time to build up a huge one-on-one program for The Undertaker at WrestleMania. But the one rumor that I want to shut down are The Undertaker and Kane facing The Shield, because I think The Undertaker's win streak at WrestleMania, given how prestigious it's been over the last 21 years, really needs to be put on the line. It is believed The Undertaker has only one thing left to defend when it comes to his WWE career, and that's his WrestleMania win streak, and it's because the WWE want to make The Undertaker one of their biggest names of all time, and they want to keep him for an additional few years. That's why we're only seeing The Undertaker showing up once a year to defend his WrestleMania win streak. And a lot of people say, people like Triple H and The Undertaker don't wrestle as much anymore, but they want to persevere these wrestlers for years to come. They want them to be the faces of the company and the legends that the new talent and superstars look up to be and strive to be in the years to come in their career that they have yet to see. And I think that that's a great idea. I think that by having The Undertaker wrestle a few times each year, you're kind of making The Undertaker stay around as long as he's physically able to do it. It's believed The Undertaker will continue to compete until he's physically unable to compete. I think that's a great marketing strategy, and that's what I like to call doing what's best for business. And I wish The Undertaker would wrestle more. I wish every week on the Raw Super shows and the editions of Friday Night SmackDown we were seeing The Undertaker like we did back in 2010. I wish The Undertaker always had an opponent and a challenge to overcome like he did in the early 90s, in the earlier part of his career. A lot of fans prefer the earlier years of The Undertaker's career when he first appeared in the WWE, no matter if he was a heel or a fan favorite, and I understand where you're coming from. But one thing you have to understand is that The Undertaker's wrestled for years, and it's just time for The Undertaker to slow things down, because if The Undertaker were still going to his full capacity, The Undertaker would probably suffer from a career-threatening injury like he did back in 1999 when he was gone for a number of months and he didn't return until May of the year 2000, and that is when The Undertaker's character was re-premiered as the American Badass, which was one of the most successful times of The Undertaker's career. Which brings me to a poll for this week's edition of the show. Which version of The Undertaker did you prefer? Did you prefer the Phenom, which was the first few years of The Undertaker's career, the American Badass, which was the second half of The Undertaker's career, or the third and what is believed to be the final part of The Undertaker's career, the Legend, which is something that I really respect, the fact that they refer to The Undertaker in the third part of his career as a legend who had virtually done it all. I mean, as I said here earlier, The Undertaker's defeated everyone at least once, which is something that you can't help but have a lot of respect for, and that is something that I do have a lot of respect for. I mean, when you can say that you've even faced a version of yourself at the 1994 SummerSlam, I mean, what more is there for you to accomplish? By 1994, just 3 years after his arrival, 3 to 4 years actually after his arrival, The Undertaker was fighting a version of himself, Ted DiBiase's Undertaker, going up against Paul Bearer's Undertaker. Now, the magnitude of that match and the feel for that match in 2013 wouldn't be nearly as effective as it was back in 1994, but the fact that that match took place in 1994 made the match just feel so awesome, because back in 94, you never thought that was possible. If Owen Hart and Bret Hart were facing each other that year at SummerSlam in a steel cage, you were talking about it endlessly because you couldn't wait to see two brothers go one-on-one, a match you never thought you would ever see come into fruition. But much less The Undertaker versus The Undertaker in the mirror match. I just think that match fit perfectly with the storylines for 1994, and it helped promote both Ted DiBiase's Undertaker and Paul Bearer's Undertaker, who was returning for the first time since being put in a casket at the 1994 Royal Rumble, which was one of the first infamous casket matches The Undertaker had ever competed in his entire career. Prior to that, he had competed in a lot of casket matches with the likes of Kamala and many other top names in the professional wrestling business. But this one casket match with Yokozuna really put casket matches in a position to become one of the most legendary matches and mind game matches The Undertaker had a psychological advantage over for many of his opponents and for many years. But this casket match really set the stage for future casket matches like The Undertaker versus Goldust and many more that we would see through the years of The Undertaker's career, which he had a psychological advantage in. I really respected The Undertaker's mind game matches that he would use, everything from casket matches to inferno matches, and there were a lot of moments The Undertaker provided me with as a wrestling fan that I still talk about to this day. I had a couple of opportunities to see The Undertaker wrestle in person at house shows It was an incredible opportunity in 1996-1997 for me to see The Undertaker team up with Shawn Michaels to face Mick Foley and Goldust in a Four Corners tag team no disqualification match, and in the summer of 97 I saw The Undertaker face Vader in a legendary casket match, and that feud with Vader in 1997 at the Royal Rumble was awesome, seeing Vader defeat The Undertaker and becoming one of few superstars to defeat The Undertaker. Going back to what I was saying about The Undertaker's win-loss record, very few superstars have been able to get the better of The Undertaker and have the last word, and one of those superstars was Vader at the Royal Rumble in 1997 in San Antonio, Texas, with the Vader Bomb after a distraction that was provided by Paul Bearer. I mean, The Undertaker's been in so many unbelievable matches through the years that you can't help but respect. Now, if I had to choose, preferably who I would want to see The Undertaker face at WrestleMania 30, it would be The Undertaker versus Kane. This is a match that I've been kind of hoping for the past number of years, because The Undertaker and Kane have had so many unbelievable matches at WrestleManias 14 and 20 and throughout their lengthy careers for the World Championship. The SmackDown back in 2010, which was just a little over 3 years ago, and I really wish The Undertaker and Kane were still feuding, and I hope that we see Dead Man Undertaker versus Masked Kane at some point before The Undertaker and Kane finally hang it up in the WWE. Now, I've released previous video blogs talking about The Undertaker and Kane having a match at WrestleMania 30, and I think that if there was one superstar who was capable of ending The Undertaker's win streak at WrestleMania, be it that he's faced The Undertaker as many times as Shawn Michaels and Triple H at WrestleMania, I think that Kane is the suitable character to do it, because there's just so much history between Kane and The Undertaker, and there's more history between Kane and The Undertaker, more so than there has been any superstar The Undertaker's faced at WrestleMania, and he's faced a host of legends and Hall of Famers. One of my all-time favorite matches at WrestleMania was The Undertaker and Kane from WrestleMania 20. It was the first time in months that we had seen The Undertaker's dead man gimmick re-emerge in the WWE after being buried in a buried alive match with Vince McMahon at the 2003 Survivor Series. Again, Kane had a significant role in that match where he used a backhoe to bury The Undertaker, and that set up for The Undertaker to return months later at WrestleMania 20, and I think that it's just great how The Undertaker has been just such an infamous name in the professional wrestling business. So if there's one character The Undertaker should have his WrestleMania win streak taken from by, definitely it should be Kane. I mean, Kane has had very minimal success in his career. He's had more success as a tag team competitor than he has as a singles competitor, and that has been very noticeable throughout Kane's career. So if there's one thing that Kane should be given in way of a career accomplishment, probably it should be to end The Undertaker's win streak at WrestleMania 30. Now, the chances of seeing The Undertaker versus Kane at WrestleMania 30 are very slim, and I wouldn't bet on that for an opponent for The Undertaker this year at WrestleMania 30. Will we see The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30? That's another question. Yes, we will, because it's WrestleMania 30, a celebration of over 3 decades of the biggest sports entertainment spectacle of all time. You can't have a WrestleMania 30 celebration without superstars like The Undertaker, and there are many others like The Rock and Steve Austin. So I'm going for The Undertaker to face someone at WrestleMania 30, but will it be Kane? That is something that is very minimal of happening. The chances of it happening are very slim. We have a better chance of seeing The Undertaker face Sheamus or Ryback at WrestleMania, with Sheamus and Ryback being the heel in the feud, or something like The Undertaker and Kane facing the Shield in a 2-on-3 handicap match. Those are the rumors that have a better chance of happening and coming into fruition for WrestleMania 30, but preferably I would love to see The Undertaker versus Kane. I think I speak for a lot of wrestling fans when I say that I'm not the only one that wants to see The Undertaker and Kane, with The Undertaker's win streak at WrestleMania being put in a more compromisable position than it has in the previous opponents The Undertaker's had at WrestleManias in the years prior to this match coming up at WrestleMania 30. Now, the match with CM Punk at WrestleMania 29, I will give CM Punk credit where credit is due. I mean, he threw everything at The Undertaker. He countered the old school, he countered the tombstone, he countered many of The Undertaker's trademark moves in this match, and he came closer than any superstar, and that says a lot for some of the superstars The Undertaker's faced at WrestleMania. If you've seen any DVD documentation of The Undertaker's opponents in matches he's had at WrestleMania, I mean, he's been through so much at WrestleMania, perhaps more than some of the biggest names that have ever performed on that stage, and that says a lot for the matches that Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and many others have competed in at WrestleMania. He's competed in gimmick matches, championship matches, just in matches where opponents have been very challenging for The Undertaker. That match with Giant Gonzalez at WrestleMania 9 in 1993, I mean, that really pushed The Undertaker to his limit, facing one of the largest opponents he had ever faced in his entire professional wrestling career. And that same year at SummerSlam, they had a Rest in Peace match where anything went as a follow-up to WrestleMania 9's encounter. Of course, Harvey Whippleman was in the corner of Giant Gonzalez during that match. But even after that, The Undertaker would go on to face so many opponents at WrestleMania. At WrestleMania 11, King Kong Bundy, which was the first WrestleMania since that encounter with Giant Gonzalez. The Undertaker would appear at WrestleMania 12 with Kevin Nash. WrestleMania 13 in a WWE Championship match, which was the first championship match The Undertaker had ever competed in at a WrestleMania. He defeated Psycho Sid in that match. The Undertaker versus Kane at WrestleMania 14. The Undertaker versus the Boss Man, one half of the Twin Towers in a Hell in a Cell match. WrestleMania 17, The Undertaker had an incredible match with Triple H, the first match of three matches rather The Undertaker and Triple H would have at WrestleMania. I mean, all you had to do is go back through the list of matches The Undertaker's competed in, and you will have a greater respect than you had previously for The Undertaker when it comes to his legacy. He's worked so diligently to achieve and establish for himself at WrestleMania. So to say The Undertaker doesn't deserve an opponent that is at his same level would be an act of disrespect by anyone who does these radio shows or these columns. I think The Undertaker deserves an opponent, perhaps the biggest challenge he's ever been faced with at WrestleMania 30. There's really no reason why this match shouldn't happen. Now, previously I did a video blog and I wrote a column about The Undertaker versus The Rock in a match where the dead man would face the great one, in a match where someone like The Rock or The Undertaker would go on to become the one when it comes to WrestleMania moments. The Undertaker versus The Rock is a great idea for a WrestleMania match, but I think we're a long way away from seeing The Undertaker versus The Rock at WrestleMania, because with everything The Rock has done, especially at an event like WrestleMania, facing everyone from Hulk Hogan to Stone Cold Steve Austin to John Cena and defeating three generation leaders, does The Rock really need to go as far as defeating The Undertaker possibly at WrestleMania 30 and ending The Undertaker's win streak at WrestleMania? If anything, if The Undertaker and The Rock were to face each other at WrestleMania, it would have to be similar to how Shawn Michaels and Triple H have failed numerous times at WrestleMania. Triple H failing 3 previous times, Shawn Michaels failing 2 previous times. I really think that that match with The Rock and The Undertaker needs to have a conclusion similar to the matches with Shawn Michaels and Triple H from WrestleManias 25 through 28. If anything, The Rock doesn't need to defeat The Undertaker. So The Rock versus The Undertaker, with how good it sounds on paper, really doesn't need to happen, because we've seen so many matches with The Rock and The Undertaker through the years. Championship matches, one-on-one matches to determine who the number one contender were, triple threat matches with The Rock and The Undertaker featured in them, matches where we've had more than one opponent for The Undertaker